Hi, I'm Morgan, and this is the short version of my medical story. The pictures go in order of the year it happened, starting from freshman year to now. Sorry there aren't more. I used to not be able to open my eyes, so I never wanted to take pictures. And there's been so many things done to me that we could never keep up with them. But now that I have a medical page, I'm trying to keep better track of everything that happens. The background. I've had some of this my whole life, and we knew something was off with me because of all the weird stuff happening to me, but I was a three-sport athlete and was functioning so well aside from broken bones, skin problems, ovarian cysts, endometriosis, permanent hearing loss, and sinus infections or viruses 6 times a year. So we didn't really think anything of it at the time, but when I was a freshman in high school, I got a horrible strain of mono that made everything come out of hiding, and I've never been the same since. Freshman year. After I got mono, everything completely changed. I went from active and hyper to healthy to sick, slow, and sluggish within a month, and I couldn't talk. I was losing weight all the time. I had no appetite. It was a mess, and it was like my body was shutting down on me, and nobody could figure me out. And everyone thought the worst. I had to go to Upstate, Boston Children's, Strong Memorial, and Cleveland Clinic that year. Cleveland was for a whole month. And Upstate and Boston tried to say that it was in my head and I wasn't really sick. But I knew they were wrong, so I kept on pushing to find the right doctor with my parents' help. I missed just about that whole year of school, and I haven't been able to do anything close to a full day since I was 13 years old. Sophomore year. This year, I tried to stay out of the hospital as much as I could. I missed 100 out of 188 days, and I only went for a couple hours when I could go to school. I struggled pretty bad on a daily basis, but I had finally been diagnosed with postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome by the same doctor who sent me to Upstate in the first place. It took him a whole year, but nothing we can do about it now. All we cared about was that we were starting to get some peace of mind with this diagnosis. Junior year. I started having gallbladder attacks, and we found out it was failing, and I was missing even more school, and just was in rough shape. And then I had to go back to Boston Children's, and they found a duodenal ulcer, and I had to stay 9 days to get IV medicines. Then it took 6 months for someone to agree to take my gallbladder out because the doctors in Boston didn't want to risk it, even though I was in pain from it all the time. After the surgery, it helped the attacks, but I still had stomach pain, so I got a nerve block 4 days after I got my permit. I went in walking weekly, but I was still walking, and I left unable to walk and peeing myself. I couldn't even curl my toes. I had to be hospitalized again and checked out for permanent spinal damage. It came back okay. We believe they hit a nerve in the process, although they tried to blame it on me once again by telling me I was crazy and I needed to see a shrink. So guess what? I happily did. And even he said I was fine and I was just really sick. My legs were dead weight after that for a year. And I had to start using a walker, a wheelchair in school, then crutches, 2 canes, and now 1 for balance and stability. It's been almost 4 years, and the same thing happened to my dad. Senior year. I was determined that this was going to be my year since I missed out on everything the rest of my high school career, but it ended up being even worse than the rest. I was hospitalized in the beginning for a super bad cold that wouldn't go away. Then later in the year, I was supposed to be in the talent show, and days before I got hit with 3 viruses all over again, and just got so much worse. I started getting chest pains, nausea, vomiting, more fatigue, more weakness, more weight loss, and so on. I had to miss the last 6 months of that year, going in every month or so if I was lucky. Once, if I was lucky. It was a miracle I graduated, but I busted my ass with tutors around the clock, and I pulled it off. I was also diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia during that time. Freshman year of college. I went part-time for this as well. This year I found out I had a breast tumor and started getting kidney infections again with 105 fevers. I had to get the tumor taken out, and I was hospitalized for one of the kidney infections at Upstate. I went to classes for 1 more semester and then had to take medical leave because I couldn't keep up anymore and it was too much money to waste. 19 and 20 years old. I got put on disability, was hospitalized again for another kidney infection for about a week, and I went to Virginia, Tufts, Johns Hopkins, and Rhode Island for testing, and was diagnosed with dysautonomia, autonomic neuropathy, unspecified autoimmune disease, neurogenic POTS, gastroparesis, Hashimoto's, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, scoliosis, and patellofemoral syndrome. And I started getting intravenous immunoglobulin transfusions every 3 weeks, which is basically like chemo for autoimmune diseases, but you don't lose your hair from it. It just makes you extra sick for a week, but it helps strengthen your immune system and such. I used to get 6 or 7 sinus infections a year, and since I've started it a year ago, I haven't had a single one, which is amazing. Anyways, to sum it up, I basically missed all of high school, am missing most of college, am unable to work, have to adopt so I don't risk giving this to my kids, and every day is a huge battle between myself and so on. And my life will never be normal again like it used to because there's no cure for any of this, and that desperately needs to change. I'm hoping that making this video will help that someday. I know I could have it worse, and I'm thankful for everything I have, but remember, never judge a book by its cover. Everyone's facing their own battles, and if doctors had believed me sooner, I wouldn't have had to go across the country for 4 years trying to get diagnoses. Thanks for watching.